Raid, the National Police managed to confiscate firearms inside the house.
2 rifles, a pistol, ammunition, supplies, and cell phones were confiscated in a raid conducted by the National Police in the neighborhood of Las Palmas, where 3 people were captured and placed at the disposal of the competent authority as announced by the National Police.
In the last few days, officers of the Special Operations Group and the Criminal Investigation Department, in an operation carried out in the Las Palmas neighborhood, captured 3 citizens for the crime of manufacturing, trafficking, carrying, and possessing firearms, parts, and ammunition. Similarly, 2 rifles, a pistol, supplies, ammunition for the same, and cell phones were also confiscated.
Those captured and the confiscated items were handed over to the supervisory judge, who will determine the legal status of the suspects.
The fee of the Ingreso Solidario on the island have changed, and here is all the information about it.
In a telephone interview with this news agency, the Regional Director of Social Prosperity, Wilfred Lever, announced that the Solidarity Income Program is also being increased in our island. In this way, the number of benefits was increased and the frequency of payment was also changed.
Bueno, el día de hoy puedo contarles que para nuestros beneficiarios.
Today, I can tell you that for our beneficiaries of Solidarity Income, our 3,700 beneficiaries, starting in March, the Solidarity Income will be paid in the amount of 190,000 pesos. That is to say, an adjustment of 30,000 pesos was made to the incentive since inflation in our territory has covered us for the month of March, and these 190,000 will be received, and during the month of April this amount will also be received. So far, we have an estimated payment date for the 2nd week of March.
Beneficiary household would receive 380,000 pesos every 2 months, March and May. Starting in July, payment will be differentiated according to the number of the household member and the suspend group in which they are located. For example, household with 4 or more members, which are Group A, Extreme Property, will receive bi-monthly payments of 520,000 pesos, and those with only 1 member in this same group will receive 400,000 pesos. This should be recalled that the Solidarity Income Program was implemented by the national government to respond to social effects by the pandemic on Colombian households.
And in the last hours, the departure of the Secretary of Health, Julian Davis, from the cabinet of Governor Everett Hawkins was announced.
The departure of the Secretary of Health, Julian Davis Robinson, from the position he has held since the beginning of the administration of Governor Everett Hawkins was announced today from the Coral Palace. Teleislas News was able to establish that Davis Robinson was in charge of the health portfolio until February 20th, and that yesterday, February 21st, he handed over the office, leaving the portfolio with a compliance in its goals of 80.9%, according to figures handled inside the governor's office. Regarding the immediate future of the former health secretary, this news team learned that Davis Robinson won the contest of merit by the National Civil Service Commission, and that on March 4th he will take office. Teleislas News also learned that during the government council held this morning, Governor Everett Hawkins asked the outgoing Secretary of Health to accompany the interim secretary until the new secretary is sworn in.
And the Entrepreneurship Fund program returns again to the archipelago to support the businesses initiatives of the islanders.
The National Learning Service, Sena Regional San Andres, announces the return of the Entrepreneurship Fund program to the islands, an initiative whose exclusive purpose is to finance business initiatives that come from and are developed by apprentices or associations.
We have in the coming days the opening of our National Call for Entrepreneurship Fund is aimed at people with disabilities, women, young people between 18 and 28 years, a call also for Orange and multi-sectoral economy. For now, just be attentive to when the calls are opened. The requirements are to have an ID card. In addition to that, be a technician, technologist, or professional of any institution recognized by the Ministry of Education, or be an apprentice of the Sena Emprende Rural program or Sena Apprenticeship program. Be in a productive phase, and the most important requirement is to have the desire to change your life.
Otro de los requisitos para participar de la convocatoria es ser colombiano, no tener nexos de parentesco hasta el 4º grado de consanguinidad, 2º de afinidad y 1º civil con funcionarios contratistas del SENA en nivel directivo del orden nacional o del orden regional en donde se presente el plan de negocios. Estas restricciones.
A public outreach against the serious smoke that seems to have become a reality has been reported by members of a recognized medical laboratory on the island. COVID-19 tests are apparently being falsified for foreign visitors to the island.
Fraud and document forgery is being denounced by the legal representative of the medical laboratory on the island because, according to the source, false COVID-19 test certificates are being sold since August of the previous year in tourist agencies by people on the island. Sephora Bent, legal representative of the laboratory, states that the complaint has been issued before the fiscal entity on the island, but unfortunately, she has not received any response from the investigation, and the modality has increased, causing damage to her good name and that of her company.
Desde el año pasado, en el mes de agosto.
Since last year in August, we had complaints from tourists and we presented evidence to the authorities in September of what was happening. On many occasions, I have approached them to verify the process, and what they have told us is that, yes, it is a process for which they are gathering evidence.
According to Bent, when she issued the report, she thought that the activity would decrease. However, it is quite the opposite. There are more and more cases of misrepresentation in the COVID test certificate.
This has become massive. We are talking about other people who are involved. We have tourist agencies that are involved in selling the certificates. We have the ATVs or mule renters, and it is a very serious situation, not only because it is detrimental to the good name that I have forged here on the island, but it is also a public health issue because we may have several sick people.
Teleislas News has tried to communicate with the competent authorities to know how the process is being progressing and what measure can be taken to mitigate this illegal activity. However, up to the beginning of this broadcast, it was not possible. This news agency will seek to expand this information for the central broadcast at 8 p.m.
Tomorrow will begin the most important tourism fair in the country, as this is the Anato Tourism Showcase, and the departmental government finishing adjusting details of the booth for its great participation.
The Tourism Secretariat has been making the necessary arrangements to have all the logistics ready for tomorrow's great participation in the 41st version of the Anato Tourism Showcase. The preparation of the booth is already organized. This fair is held in the city of Bogotá, where successful participation is expected.
Un cordial saludo para toda la comunidad.
In this opportunity, as the Secretary of Tourism, I am already in the city of Bogotá, performing all the actions delegated by the governor, so that the presentation and participation of our department in the tourist showcase of Anato is a success. Therefore, I am in front of this situation, reviewing the logistical issues, the issues of suppliers, the issue of the booth, so that again, this year we can have a stand visited by agencies, by departments, and through this, we can market our destination with the entrepreneurs and the tourist offer we are bringing for this tourist version of Anato.
The local administration expects to promote the destination with business and tourist visits and to increase the offers for the current year.
The Ombudsman's Office, as part of its work to include Creole and involve children in learning reading and writing this language, launched a story on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights translated into Creole yesterday in commemoration of Mother Tongue Day in Creole.
The Universal Declaration of All Human Rights was the name chosen for this audiobook, a book that explains in detail how the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was made and mentioned the articles of human rights. The Ombudsman explained the purpose of which this document was created and its importance.
Defensoría del Pueblo, we have out today the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for the children in our language. It's very important for us. Why? Because the first language that we manage also we native and the department is the Creole. And it's very important for our children to have at first-hand this information that they go and normally the Spanish we learn in the different school when we are children, so that is very important. I take this place to give thanks to our national ombudsman, Dr. Carlos Camargo Assis, who is keeping including the diversity or the diversity of our different culture and ethnical right. So I give him thanks, and this is very important for our community because we have the information that we can go doing the pedagogic work in the different schools to our children.
The launching took place yesterday, taking advantage of the celebration, and will be available for any child interested in learning about human rights.
And now we continue with Millicent O'Neill and the news of the municipality of Full Providence and Santa Catalina.
Good evening to everyone. This is the most relevant information from Old Providence and Catalina. During the morning hours, workers of the Providencia Consortium blocked the street in Batam House for lack of payment.
Workers of Providence Consortium blocked the street with two backhoes for a few hours this morning to express their disagreement with the treatment that the consortium is giving them. According to those affected, some of them have not been paid for several months.
The companies have not paid us for 3 months now. We don't know if it is Findeter or the consortium. They are promising every week saying, this week we are going to organize the money. But we have been in this situation for 7 weeks now. Then they even took 3 machines out of here because they are already running out of operations.
The workers' spokesman state that they have economic obligations to meet.
Those of us who are here have been locked in for 3 months now because we don't have an outlet for rest. We have banking obligations, food to provide for our homes. The situation of having families going hungry without anyone serving anything for us. There are promises, but nothing that tells us something positive.
The blockade was lifted due to the negotiations that are taking place in Bogota.
And Mother Tongue Day did not go unnoticed in the municipality. Maria Inmaculada Educational Institution celebrated Creole Day.
They play traditional games, watch informative videos, print, dance, read, and write. The Convent School celebrated Creole Day, a day when we honor for our native language.
Well, today nationally we're celebrating Mother Tongue Day, right? But in Providence and San Andres we celebrate Creole Day, which is our mother tongue. The idea this day is to bring remembrance to them, show them where the language comes from, show them that the language is not only one component, that we have different things that build up the language and build up our racial culture.
Picnic them dance, typical music, them play, them eat, them enjoy themselves. Meanwhile, them when they learn more about their language and more about their roots.
We have what is dancing, traditional game, reading, writing in Creole, all the different things that we can introduce to the children so they can produce it to others.
Finally, when we ask them why then they celebrate Creole Day, the picnic them answer and say,
we know the identity because people know the Spanish and
because Creole Day is something like in a island, and we in Colombia they talk Spanish, and in the island they talk English.
And in order to maintain the ongoing water supply to the community, the PEICA company signed a contract with the desalination plant for the next 10 months for the supply of 400,000 liters per day.
The public utility company PEICA has contracted with Tecnoaguas for the supply of 400,000 liters per day of drinking water for the community. This as a way to stabilize the conditions of the reservoir so that the water can be treated.
This will help us sustain the supply of drinking water for the community because our plant does not have the capacity to deliver the demand of water that is required nowadays.
During the superintendent's visit, additional components of this contract were also discussed.
Increasing the storage capacity, it will go from 30 liters to 170 liters. Additionally, some impulsion pumps that will double the capacity of water impulsion in the networks, which will allow us to increase the continuity more or less in a 50%.
As for complaints about the distribution, consumption and storage capacity are evaluated and dealt with in a timely manner, explained the manager.
Initially, when we started to distribute, we were attending to requests. Today, we are making brigades by neighborhoods, so we make publications through the established means we have.
The cost of the new contract is 3,500 million pesos.
This is all the information we have for tonight for this section of Old Providence and Catlina. Continue in San Andres with more Teleislas News. Good night.
Thank you, Millie. Now it's time for Sport News with Victor Fusalva.
Hello, here are the best sports of the island. Basketball with the Trotters Club that provides many benefits for the young islanders.
A club that continues with its training process for the sport and culture of this island community is the Island Trotters, who with soul and discipline and perseverance continue to train talented athletes and professionals for the islands. One of those who put her soul and work together with Fernando McLean in this training process is Coach Hilda Archibald, who told us the following.
I come here with Fernando McLean many years, training the children them, give them a light about life, about study, about recuperation of material things, and no recuperation of the street, because the street don't have nothing. So we always put them in the light of have a good life and have a good study. So we have them occupied, not only in basketball, we have them in study, because if they don't win the year, they're not going to go nowhere with us. We go away every year December and we don't take them. If they even have the money and win the year, we don't take them. If they win the year, we take them, and if they lose the year, we don't take them.
This training school will continue to ensure the welfare and training of the young people of the archipelago, according to Coach Hilda.
And on the other side, volleyball is a sport that with the evolution is giving fruit to our athletes in the archipelago.
This range of opportunities are offered to the young athletes who practice the high net sport, could be taken advantage of by the seedling, have grown thanks to their league coaches and teachers who are dedicated to providing not only their sport knowledge to the boys, but also to train them to be future professionals. We talk about the subject with one of the instructors, Herman Cotes, who gave us more details.
Right now we have the majority of we boys and we girls who get over here to the island to go to university, national universities. They are represented the different universities, and some of them be part of the pre-selection from Colombia. That is a way we feel very good, because we know we are doing something good in the island, and some of the trainers are calling us a figure at least a work, a special work, when they return back to the island in vacation, when they can practice the sport.
Interesting opportunity for the young people of the archipelago that should be a little more interested in sport, that could become for many an opportunity to obtain higher education, as mentioned by Cotes. And this will be all in sports for the moment. We will see you on another broadcast. We continue with Lisa.